So yet another change in the real estate industry, this time impacting Massachusetts residential home sellers and buyers. I should also mention the full-time real estate agents out there who now have yet another regulation to explain to part-time agents that are on the other side of their transactions quite often. But basically, this new regulation says that home sellers can no longer accept an offer on their property if that offer is waiving a home inspection. So everyone has a right to inspect. You can no longer accept an offer that says in writing that the buyers are going to waive a home inspection, or there's any indication that a home inspection is going to be waived at all. This regulation is part of the Affordable Homes Act, and it's really meant to protect buyers out there. During or just after, COVID, we had a lot of home buyers who were getting so frustrated that they couldn't get their hands on a property. Competition was so high. Many people just started waiving their home inspections just to get their hands on a property. So this is going to level the playing field a little bit among home buyers. Not 100%, but this is going to help make home buyers a little bit more confident in their purchases, allow them to see any potential defects in a property. And it's really meant to protect the consumer at the end of the day, and probably to also protect home inspectors and their careers at the end of the day as well. So what does this actually cover? This is all residential properties. It's going to cover single family and multifamily buildings up to 4 units, as well as condo sales. So this is important, this includes sales where agents aren't actually involved. So this is not a realtor or real estate agent thing. If you are selling your house as a for sale by owner, you also have to abide by these regulations, or you're opening yourself up to litigation and some liability there. So commercial properties aren't impacted by this new regulation. Gonna go through a quick list of frequently asked questions here. Can a buyer still waive a home inspection altogether? The answer to this is yes. Buyers do not have to do a home inspection. They just cannot waive their inspection before the offer is actually accepted. So they have to make their offer, and once the offer gets accepted, they can choose not to do a home inspection. We see this, from time to time anyway. So the waived home inspection just cannot be used as a sort of competitive element in the offer stage. And the law basically prohibits sellers or agents from conditioning the acceptance of an offer on a waived home inspection. So this one's also kind of tricky. The sellers cannot accept an offer if the buyer communicates in any way in advance that they intend to waive a home inspection. How that is going to be actually regulated and controlled, I have no idea. I'm guessing there's going to be plenty of agents out there going wink, wink, we're not going to do an inspection, but they're just not going to put it in writing. So how that is going to be impacted, it remains to be seen, but time will tell. So how does this actually work in practice? Well, basically, when I list a property now, I have to get the home seller to sign a disclosure saying that they're not going to restrict buyers from doing a home inspection, and they cannot accept any offers that are contingent on that waived home inspection. So it's a form that has to be signed. We're likely going to get it just signed with the listing documents, in addition to like the frequent lead paint forms that are signed, and we're simply going to upload those forms to the MLS so that when or before offers are being made, those buyers agents can actually download those already signed documents from the multiple listing service, have their buyer clients sign them and submit them alongside the offer. And whatever they decide to do with the home inspection after that is totally up to them, but they have to sign these disclosure forms first. The buyer must also be given a reasonable period of time to actually perform the inspection and walk away based on the results. So the time period I'm seeing thrown around right now is about 7 days. So we'll talk about how to leverage this reasonable time period in a few minutes, but that's the time period I'm seeing a lot of our sort of advisors in the real estate world saying right now is a pretty reasonable period of time. Often we see 7 to 10 days as a reasonable inspection timeline before this regulation went into effect. Some people are able to knock out inspections the day after, but basically this is saying that you cannot create an inspection timeline that's, a couple of hours after the offer is accepted or a day after the offer is accepted, because that's not necessarily a reasonable period of time to actually perform that inspection, get the report back, sort of digest it and understand how you want to move forward. So a reasonable period of time must be allowed to actually perform the inspection. Another frequently asked question is, are there limits on how a contract might try to limit the effectiveness of an inspection? So yeah, in addition to that reasonable timeline, the buyers have to be given a reasonable access to the property, so you can't restrict the windows that they have to actually perform the inspection. You cannot prevent a buyer from walking away if they're not satisfied with the results of the inspection. However, parties can negotiate a reasonable repair cost threshold. So that means if a buyer finds, $5,000 worth of repairs needed at the inspection, they can work into their offer that they're willing to cover that $5,000, but anything above that, they reserve the right to either renegotiate the price point or credits at the closing or repairs that need to be made, or they reserve the right to walk away from the transaction altogether. So that is still allowed, and it's still going to be a way to leverage this new regulation. We'll talk about how buyers and sellers can leverage this new law in a few minutes. But what transactions are actually exempt from these rules? So right now, the exemptions include commercial properties, sales by auction or foreclosure, transfers to family members or certain estate planning transfers, new construction if the first contract is signed before substantial completion and the seller gives at least a 1-year express written warranty. So what happens if someone violates these rules? Well, basically, sellers or agents who violate this can be liable under the consumer protection law for unfair and deceptive practices. Agents can face disciplinary consequences. Basically, you can open yourself up to litigation, whether you're an agent or a home seller who sort of ignores these new regulations. All right, so now the important part. How can you as a buyer actually leverage these new regulations, this new law? So by nature, this is going to positively impact you as a home buyer. There's no more pressure to waive a home inspection. You know that nobody else can legally do this either. So you don't necessarily feel forced into a risky decision just to be competitive on your home purchase offer. It could put you in a stronger negotiating position as well. So once you do discover certain things at the inspection, or if you discover certain things at the inspection, you can be in a better position to maybe renegotiate the price or get some credits back at the closing or have the sellers repair those concerning things. And as a buyer, you can also be strategic with your language here. So you can say, look, we still want to do our home inspection. We only need 5, 6, 7 days to do it, but we're willing to cover up to $5,000 or $10,000, whatever you're comfortable with, in repair costs if things are discovered at the home inspection that, weren't observable when we first saw the property. So you can use the inspection to your advantage. You want to balance your comfort level with, the timeline, the amount you're willing to pay in addition to cover those repair costs. You can also try to negotiate a pre-offer inspection before you actually offer on the property. You can ask the seller if they're going to be able to accommodate you getting a home inspector into the property, find out what needs to be done, if anything, and then make your offer on the property. This isn't going to be possible every time, especially if owners are occupying the property. You might not have the couple hours that you might need to get in there with a home inspector and get the information you need to comfortably move forward with an offer. But it can make your offer a little bit more enticing to a seller, because even if you're signing this disclosure form, you're saying, look, I still need to technically say I need 7 days for a home inspection, but we already did it. So you can make the assumption as a home seller that they're not going to pay for another inspection, and they're probably not going to need that full 7-day window to move forward with their existing offer. They're likely just going to waive any additional inspection and say, yeah, we're ready to get through to the purchase and sale. We already asked for everything that we needed in our offer. So that's also a great way to leverage this new regulation, sort of put yourself ahead of the pack if it is a competitive home or listing. And just make sure you're using these thresholds wisely. So make sure you're not overextending yourself. If you're saying in the offer that you're willing to cover $20,000 worth of repairs when in fact you don't necessarily have the cash on hand to cover those things, because you are going to be held to the terms of that offer once it's made. And basically just team up with an agent that is doing this every day and knows how to communicate with listing agents and sellers, understand what the seller's preferred terms are, is a professional in submitting offers that are very detailed, and they're developing a rapport with the other side of the transaction, letting them know what kind of buyer you are and that you're not going to be like nitpicking the little things. That can be hugely helpful in getting offers accepted and just moving smoothly through a transaction. So that pretty much does it for how the buyers can leverage this new law. Now let's talk about how sellers and listing agents can leverage this new law. So while on the surface, this looks like a bit of a drawback for sellers and they're sort of losing the freedom to accept an offer that's waiving their home inspection, it's actually probably to your benefit, because it's going to enable buyers to move forward confidently, especially with offers. Initially, they know that they have a window to do a home inspection. It tells you that, look, there's no hiding stuff here. These people can do a home inspection if they want to. So it basically, I think, is going to reduce the amount of transactions where the buyers walk away, because the sellers know ahead of time that everyone's going to have the opportunity to do this inspection. They might as well take care of any issues with the property. Most sellers know that there are certain issues with their property, so they're more likely to remediate those things if they know everyone has the opportunity to find those things out. So if you're working with a listing agent, especially a Compass agent, we have a no interest loan program. We allow sellers that list with us to basically borrow and take care of any renovations or things that just need to be adjusted, whether it's painting or whether it's replacing a furnace or something. And basically the cost of making those repairs is just paid out of the proceeds when you actually close on the sale. So it's a great way to leverage not just the understanding of this new regulation, but also leverage your Compass agent and know that you are taking care of everything that needs to be taken care of, and buyers are going to be able to move forward confidently with their offers. And with that said, I would highly recommend, if you are selling your home or planning on going on the market soon, that you actually just pay for an inspection yourself. Understand what other home inspectors are going to find out when buyers hire them to walk through your property, and take care of those major concerns that all buyers are going to have. I recently just listed a property that has active knob and tube wiring. This is a huge concern for most buyers because it's a huge concern for most insurance companies. So if you are able to find out that you have major red flags in the property earlier than listing the property, you can get those things resolved. You can confidently move forward on the market. If there are things that you don't necessarily want to take care of or feel like taking care of, just disclose those things. That way, you're not going to run into any surprises when it gets into the transaction. You're not going to be on the market for, several weeks before you find out that the buyer is going to now walk away because this big issue came up that they're not comfortable with. Just give all the buyers out there the information they need to confidently move forward and stop wasting your own time by going on the market with issues with the home. The other thing I would recommend here is to be as flexible as you possibly can be with pre-offer inspections. This is, again, just going to build confidence in the eyes of the buyers out there. So if you're able to accommodate it, I know not everyone is able to, because it's a couple hours out of the house every time someone wants to do a pre-offer inspection and you don't even know if they're going to move forward with an offer, but it's just going to help get your property under agreement faster. So that's really it. I mean, it's pretty simple. No more waived home inspections. Again, there are still ways to leverage this regulation. There are still ways to improve your inspection contingencies. If you are a home buyer out there, there's still ways to make your offer look better, even with these new inspection regulations, whether it's the inspection language itself or other terms of the offer. So just make sure you're partnering with a full-time agent out there in Massachusetts that has a firm understanding of these things. If you need a referral to a real estate agent, if they're outside of the greater Boston area, feel free to connect with us anyway. We handle greater Boston, we handle the South Shore. We partner with agents all over the place, whether it's in Massachusetts and Western Mass, up on the North Shore, and anywhere in New England and across the country. So if you need help from a real estate agent anywhere, feel free to reach out to us first. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you got something out of it. Please subscribe below, and I'll see you guys on the next one.